All right, House of Payne fans. Now, since the show was on a hiatus, since it had the mid-season finale last week, episode 10, the drama surrounding the key. And I saw a lot of fans talking about it, and I saw this reflected in the videos I posted. I mean, typically when I do House of Payne content, over the past couple years, going over the reboot seasons, the videos that do numbers typically have to do with anything that's related to Calvin or Miranda, or to an extension Laura. It wasn't until Jasmine and Janine came back that when I posted shorts from the episode, abiding by the copyright policies of YouTube and whatnot, I've noticed a surge in views as well, due to the nostalgia of, oh my gosh, Jasmine and Janine are finally back on the show. But reading through the comments about, Miranda and Laura and Calvin, there's a lot of back and forth. There's like, oh man, Miranda still has a thing for Calvin. That's why she kept, the money there, and maybe even other, little hidden treasures and whatnot. That way she has any reason or excuse to pop up unannounced, or heck, maybe Calvin hasn't set boundaries because he likes having her around, and, this, that, and the third. But to be honest, I kind of fall in the camp of a lot of other fans who are, just kind of done with the will they, won't they thing they have going on. I mean, we're going on 4 seasons now. And look, you can't fully blame Tyler Perry, because here's the thing. Starting in season 10, so 10, 11, and 12, where we are now, and I don't know if we're going beyond season 12 with House of Payne, Tyler handed the reins over to other writers, so it's not like he is the one writing this stuff. Now, that's not to say Tyler maybe not have had, I mean, maybe he had like, okay, here is a list of the things you can't touch, like, you can't kill off characters, or you can't get these, couples together, or, drag, or have the Miranda Calvin thing. They can't get back together, but, you can play with the idea of them. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So I can't fully say like, hey, he's the one responsible. I don't know. But maybe he does have, just some guidelines for the writers to follow. And then from there, it's a free for all. Like I've said many times on this channel, I wish they would stop ending seasons with a, oh my gosh, did so-and-so die? It is played out. You did it 3 times already. First CJ, then Janine, then Curtis. We don't need it happening at the end of season 12. But with the Miranda and Calvin thing, it's just way too much. I mean, to be honest though, you could argue, well, Jeremy, look at Sisters. They're about to go into season 6, and then they have a whole bunch of characters who are still in the will they, won't they situations, and it's beyond played out. That's true, but I think Calvin and Miranda has a bit more weight to it, because I forgot the exact time gap here, but wasn't it like near or close to, if not above, over a decade since the ending of the not the Haves and Have-Nots, House of Payne, the original series, to where we are in the reboot, not counting the Paynes at all. People always wonder, man, she walked out on Calvin, now what? And then we picked up, and then it's like, oh wow, it's like she got it bad. And now Calvin's moved on, and then Laura just always is compared to Miranda in so many ways. But in the reality of the situation, none of these characters are truly good for each other. They really don't need to be together. I'm referring to Calvin and Miranda. But should the storyline be let go? To be completely honest, I think it should. Now, you could argue that, well, Jeremy, you just said, like, based on your views and whatnot, the Calvin and Miranda stuff is like the main talking point of the series, the thing people want to see. I mean, from a content creator standpoint, looking at the views on the channel and whatnot, to an extent, yes, but in terms of writing for these characters, I would say it needs to be shifted or changed, because I think it goes back to what I've said in many episode reviews from season 12. On the one hand, I really did like season 12. Not perfect, but I thought it was a step up in a lot of areas compared to the previous seasons. I think it isn't just because Jasmine and Janine are back, but because they are back, you can play with different character dynamics that we couldn't have during seasons 10 and 11 since they weren't around. We got less Lisa, and that's not a fault of the actress. I don't mind Lisa at all. I mean, over the season, she's gotten better. Season 9, she was insufferable, but since then, she has gotten better as a character. I think for me, and this is just my opinion now, we've only seen 10 episodes of the full season. Each episode is give or take 19 to 20 minutes, sometimes 21 if that. So you can't cram every single character into every episode. I think the writers probably, looked at, okay, what are the fans wanting? What characters do we have? Who can we write somewhat, efficient stories for in order to serve, both the scripts we wrote up, but also cater to the fans of the series itself. And Lisa and Floyd didn't really, make the cut all the time. I think Floyd was in one episode. Lisa was in maybe 2 or 3. I forgot the exact count, but it wasn't that many. And I mean, think about it, like in episode 10, Malik and CJ only popped in for a couple of minutes, and they were just there to be background characters while Ella and Jasmine, made amends after, she kind of took over her, church group idea on campus. It's just one of those things where you pick and choose like which characters you want to have a focus on. Now, when it comes to Calvin and Miranda, I think they only had 2 real episodes that focused on them. But to be honest, I think we had more episodes geared towards Calvin and Laura in this particular season compared to Calvin and Miranda, because, we had, we're meeting Laura's parents, they're meeting Calvin for the first time. And then you have the triple play where it's like Laura concerned about Miranda having the key. And then from there, it's just okay, there are a lot of things that don't really add up because these things should have happened by now. Like, like I said before, Laura's parents all this time and they still haven't met their daughter's fiance, to an extension. All this time, Lisa has been with the Paynes, and yet this is the first time her mom's being introduced to them. With the key thing, I think a lot of the drama that gets played up between, Calvin and Miranda, and honestly, it's Laura and the Calvin and Miranda dynamic. That's really what it boils down to. It's the fact that all this time you've been, with Calvin and, been at his place and whatnot, but now the key is a problem. But like I said, I kind of do side with Laura, because my thing, from my perspective, it wasn't the issue. Or the issue wasn't Miranda having the key. The issue was Miranda abusing her access to the law for any little mundane thing, interrupting their peace. So, as a result, that's why Laura didn't feel comfortable. Like, hey, I don't feel comfortable with her being able to pop in all the time, which is very reasonable. So, why all of a sudden is it a problem now? Has Miranda always been popping up unannounced? Yeah, but to the extent she is now, not really. I mean, think of it this way. The Laura's parents situation, that was completely ridiculous for her to not even call or text ahead of time to get the laptop. Then, earlier in the season, there was the situation where Calvin opted to watch his son as opposed to, the night out he had with Laura, and this was moments before they were supposed to leave, so he didn't give her a heads up whatsoever. So I think that the Miranda and Calvin thing, they either need to do one or two things. They either just need to drop the Calvin and Miranda thing to the wayside and forget about it, or break up Calvin and Laura, one or the other, because I think at this point a lot of fans have said the same thing. Why is it an issue now? It looks like she's looking for any reason to cut ties between Calvin and Miranda. Oh, Laura must have thought that Calvin wouldn't be that much of an involved father to his children, and he wouldn't have a lot of, communication with his ex-wife. But in reality, it's like Calvin and, from what I can tell in the show, itself, Miranda and Calvin are great co-parents. You could argue that they are better co-parents than husband and wife when they were actually married. And I think there's some truth to that. The real tension between the two comes from the idea of Miranda's inability to accept Calvin has moved on. To an extent, I think it's fair to say the Miranda of season 12 and most of season 11, this is a Miranda that has accepted that, but at the same time, she doesn't respect boundaries even when they aren't in place. Despite someone telling you not telling you what you can and can't do, there are some things you should just know better than to do. Like, for example, let's say you have a roommate and you and your roommate have to share a restroom, and your roommate's in there taking a dump. I'm not trying to be graphic here, but here's an example. Oh, hey man, or hey girl, whoever your roommate is like, yeah, I left my charger in there, and you just barge in to get it, without knocking on the door or asking, hey, if it's within arm's reach, you mind, just passing it under the door. You just barge in there unannounced. That's, an invasion of privacy. I mean, hell, some people are really close like that, so they don't care. But I just know, for the sake of my nose, I wouldn't want to do that, nor would I want to share a bathroom. But it's just one of those things where you shouldn't need somebody to tell you that ain't cool or that's out of pocket, So it's just one of those things where I really feel like Calvin and Miranda, or Miranda specifically, it's like she oversteps bounds about realizing, hey, Miranda, I know you and Calvin had this system going, even while you were going through the divorce stage, but Calvin has moved on. So, don't disrespect his new lady and their new life together by constantly inserting yourself into it. Oh, don't mind me. It's like, well, yeah, I kind of mind. I mean, think about it this way. Her barging in saying, don't mind me, and then going to get the money is one thing. But then when you see these two cozied up, it's like, oh, are those hash browns? Yeah, come on, let's not do that. But like I said, several times, I think her biggest offense was when she went over to the Payne household. They were having that family game night. She wasn't invited, but then she decides to stay and just makes things incredibly awkward. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on there. But, regardless, I think the Miranda Calvin thing needs to just be over and done with. But, it's not, unless she gets a new love interest, which I do believe there is a character description of Miranda getting a new love interest at some time later on in season 12. I think we're still going to see this 1-2 step between them, and who knows, maybe something wacky is going to happen. Like maybe Miranda's new love interest is somebody that has an eye for Laura, and then with Laura's being, I still say she's a bit of an opportunist. What does she say to Calvin? Oh, you're a side piece, but then you became my main dish. It's like, or my main piece. It's like, wait, what? So it's just one of those things where she probably has a wandering eye and looks for situations where she could probably leech off of. Remember, she wanted this big over the top wedding and whatnot, as opposed to, something more budget friendly. So it's just one of those things where, I don't know. Would she make a good wife? Maybe, but I don't know. Beats me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Miranda Calvin thing? Do you think they'll get together by the end of this reboot series, whenever that is? Because like I said, and I think over the past few weeks and talking with people online, as far as I know, there has been no updates or word on a season 13. So season 12 might be it, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, well, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.